Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, Oxford United will be in the Championship next season. Hello everybody and welcome back to OUFC Fan View for the final review of the 23-24 season. It was the playoff final. It was Oxford United versus Bolton Wanderers. And it ended with Oxford United getting promoted. It was strangely comfortable compared to what we went through in 2010. Oxford turned up and were good. Bolton, sadly for their fans, just did not show up, and it turned out being a pretty comfortable win for Oxford United. It finished Oxford United 2, Bolton Wanderers 0. But we will go over everything. I don't take any notes for the game, so the match review won't be as detailed as normal, but I will go over the team news, give a match review, and do my final thoughts at the end of it. This channel is not about Mickey taking or taking the piss out of the opposition at any point, so it really is commiserations to you Bolton fans. A lot of your fans have been following my channel all the way through the season, and I do thank you for that. It's a horrible time for your team to turn up to Wembley and put on that kind of a showing for you. So it was, I know it was a pretty crappy day for you yesterday, but if you do want to stick around and see my final thoughts, I really would appreciate it. I'd like to know your thoughts in the comments below as well. But if you can give this video a thumbs up, I would appreciate that. And if you can subscribe to the channel as well, I will also appreciate that as well, because I'm still one day removed, still in a little bit of a shock. But let's go over the team news. So I don't have my usual graphics, so I'm going off memory on this one as well. But Oxford just made one change from the side that started against Peterborough in the second leg, and that was Sam Long coming in at right back instead of Finn Stevens. It was a toss of a coin really, and I think ultimately that was the right decision. Longy, with that experienced head, he was excellent in the second half of that second leg, and obviously he was excellent in this game today. No real changes other than that for Oxford United. I think the bench was pretty much the same, and there was so no Will Goodwin, no Gatlin O'Donker, no James Henry final farewell either. Ian Everett's Bolton Wanderers also only made one change, I think, from the side that got through against Barnsley in that second leg, and that was a return to the side for Ogbeta. And I am sorry, I don't even know who he came in for, but Ogbeta ripped Oxford apart in that much fabled 5-0 game that I'm sure we're going to reference back and forth a lot during this video. So I would say that's made Bolton stronger and probably arguably their strongest side. I would say it was Oxford's strongest side, so both sides could really have no complaints. Pretty much strongest side going head to head. So let's move on to the game now, and I would think the biggest difference is probably Oxford just seemed to be more intense than Bolton in all aspects, in defending, in attack, in pressing. And I think that the epitome was probably in the first 30 seconds of the game, a crunching tackle by Sam Long on Ogbeta, who'd only just come back to the side. It was always like a welcome to the game, pal kind of thing. But it wasn't a foul, but Ogbeta certainly felt the force of it. And that kind of really set the tone of what Oxford's level was going to be like for the whole game. So the first half of this game was scrappy up until when Oxford scored their goal. No side could really gain any element of control for large periods. There was no real glorious chances, and it generally was just quite bitty, not in a nasty way, not really with like niggly fouls. There was just sides we couldn't really, there was just like a lack of quality in the final third, and you could kind of understand it. Both sides with a lot to lose, kind of wanting to feel their way into the game. Bolton looking, for me, their most dangerous when they could have large switches of play over to Ogbeta on that left hand side. He was linking up quite well with Thomason. They were finding a lot of space on the big pitch of Wembley, but they just balls into the box for being well defended, or Oxford could get across to clear the danger. Neither side really getting anything from set pieces. Oxford were not getting their wingers into play, and actually at the start of the game the wing backs did a good job on Murphy and on Dale. Oxford couldn't really get them going. But what I liked to see was the fact that Goodrum and Rodriguez were picking up the ball and were willing to run and willing to like take people on and create space. And there was a couple of times where I thought they got into some good shooting opportunities but failed to really pull the trigger. And as I said, shots and chances were at a premium. I think there was just one shot for Bolton which went Cummings kind of dived across his goal. I'm not sure how close it actually was. I think that was either from Thomason or Mag Homer. And then there was a Ruben Rodriguez shot where he did actually pull the trigger, which kind of trickled, just floated just wide. Not Baxter, not really troubled by that one either. But there was just those little moments are moments where you do get the crowd engaged and it gives them something to cheer. And I have to say, I haven't touched on it before, both sets of fans came out in absolute force today and really were a credit to both of their sides. But this game obviously turned on 30 minutes, and that is when Oxford took the lead. And for the first time in the game, Oxford got Murphy into a little bit of space, and he actually for the first time got a bit of joy against Dacris Cogley. Rodriguez gave Murphy the ball. Murphy got away from Dacris Cogley on the edge of the box. There was a shirt pull on him, a pretty blatant one, but the referee wasn't going to give any fouls on Josh Murphy today. But Murphy got into that position onto the edge of the box where he can whip it like we've seen him do before. He's got a beautiful right peg, just whipping the ball into the far corner. It takes a wicked deflection off Santos and centre back for Bolton and just loops over the diving Baxter into the back of the net. Oxford in absolute ecstasy, going crazy in the stands. A tight game, first goal crucial, and Oxford have got it. And from my point of view, that's the first time in the tie where the nerves really started to kick in a little bit. It did, this game going into it for Oxford United did feel like a little bit of a free hit, and I was almost just kind of sucked into just enjoying the occasion. But then once you take the lead, you have something to lose. It did start to get a little bit worrying. But we didn't really sense that Bolton were desperate at that point to get back into the game. They were just very much, maybe the intensity notched up a bit, but it didn't result in many chances, and you did maybe see a little bit more urgency in their play. But Oxford were just very good, like they were all day, of just crowding out the space in and around their penalty area, getting bodies to the runners and just stopping Bolton from getting any shots away at Jamie Cumming. And they really struggled in the final third. And as well as being good in possession, Goodrum, Brannigan and Rodriguez were good at breaking up play and starting Oxford off on counter-attack. And we had that in our locker as soon as we went 1-0 up, as you knew Bolton would press further on. But that defensive work stretched to everybody. Owen Dale, Josh Murphy, Bennett, Sam Long, superb at just breaking up play and stopping the momentum. And Oxford had those opportunities for breakaways, and on 41 minutes, a 1-0 lead turned into 2-0. Oxford win the ball in midfield. Ruben Rodriguez has a little bit of space and plays a lovely through ball, lobbed through ball in behind. It is weighted perfectly, and you are not going to stop Josh Murphy from getting on the end of it. And he gets there ahead of Baxter. He rounds Baxter. The angle looks like it's going against him, but he slots it under Nathan Baxter, diving back to try and stop the shot, and Oxford United go 2-0 up in this game. So from that point on in the first half, you had a nervy 10 minutes with 5 minutes added on at the end of the first half, where Bolton did push for that equaliser. And that is where you really felt Bolton were at their most dangerous. They did start to find little pockets of space in the penalty area. And again, Oxford did a good job of shutting them off. The couple of really good efforts that were blocked. I think one of them from Sheehan from the edge of the box, which was really well blocked from Sam Long, which looked like that was going on target. Bolton had some corners, Bolton had some pressure, but ultimately none of it told, and Oxford went in 2-0 up. So yeah, half-time 2-0, Oxford cheered off, Bolton booed off. Don't often see that in a Wembley final. A side booed off at half-time. And not surprising that these Bolton fans were angry at their side. They hadn't really given them a lot to cheer for, with really no shots on target in the game. So a lot to do. From an Oxford point of view, it was all going pretty perfectly. And you have seen this script before, and we were expecting things to turn against us. And we were expecting a huge surge from momentum from Bolton in the second half, and we were expecting a huge back to the wall job. But at the moment, as it stood at half time, Oxford were 45 minutes from promotion. And Bolton came out in the second half, and you were expecting the charge, and you kind of got something of a charge, but never sustained pressure. Bolton fans did all they could to rally their side, cheering every throw-in, cheering every set piece, but the side just was very lacklustre in front of goal, and there were so many overhit crosses or wayward attempts or wayward passes, and they just made it very easy for Oxford United to weather that early part of the game. The bad news for Bolton is they lost Maghoma early in the second half, which is one of their key players, but also Oxford lost Cameron Brannigan pretty early in the second half as well. So both sides losing a key man early in the second half. But whilst the substitutions for Bolton didn't really seem to make an impact, Oxford's did. I thought Marcus McGuane came on and looked really good, and I thought Josh McEachran came on and was really solid as well. I've been very impressed with Marcus McGuane over these last two playoff games that he's come in. But Ian Evatt made changes and he had to chase the game, and he brought on more and more attacking players. He brought off their holding midfield player in Sheehan, and they pushed to try and get back into this one, as they had to do. But I feel that they kind of lost a little bit of initiative in midfield when they took the likes of Sheehan off. Oxford seemed to get more control in midfield the more the game went on. And Oxford had more dangerous attacks closing in on this game because they were able to win the ball in midfield and start counterattacks than Bolton did on Oxford's goal. And whilst I was still nervous, you just didn't feel like Bolton were going to score, but you knew if they only got one, it would change the game massively. But you just never saw that pressure again all the way. The minutes ticked away. 70 minutes, 80 minutes, 85 minutes. There was one header from Cameron Jerome which went looped over the bar, but other than that I can't think of any chances that Bolton really had. Oxford was brilliant. Elliot Moore and Kieran Brown defended everything that came into their box, but the midfield, even when McGuane came on, when McEachran went on, the amount of times they were just in the right place at the right time to get a block, to slow the momentum, and to then start a counter-attack. Harris worked selflessly up front again. He was immense with his running. He did not stop all game. Not really many chances for Harris, but his work rate, as always, did not go unnoticed. And it really was the Josh Murphy show for Oxford United. He had chances in this second half. The first one, he ran away down the right-hand side. He got in on goal, but there was no one really supporting him, and he took it a bit wide, and the shot was always kind of scuffing across goal, never really going to go in. But the second one was a much better chance. It was... you had Rodriguez, you had Harris galloping up in support. Murphy, you would think all he had to do was square it to get that ball across to Harris, get it across to Rodriguez, and they would have a tap in to make it 3-0. But he took the chance to take the shot, and Baxter was able to get across this time and make a really good save. There was a good free kick, I think, by Joe Bennett after a really a mix-up in the Bolton back line, and Baxter ended up siving Owen Dale down just outside the box. But a good whipped-in free kick by Bennett at the near post, nearly caught Baxter out, but he got across to it. And then at the end of the game, another breakaway from Oxford United. This time, I think Owen Dale down the right-hand side, he maybe gave it to Sam Long, who looped in across, and Murphy was in acres of space at the back post, and it was just floated across, and he was waiting for that volley, waiting for smash this volley in for the hat-trick, but it didn't come. He scuffed it, fluffed his lines, but it did not matter. 10 minutes of injury time, 9 minutes of injury time. It could have been 20 minutes of injury time. Bolton just got more and more sloppy the more and more this game went on. The fans could sense that it just wasn't going to be their day, and the Bolton players just ran out of ideas, ran out of puff, and just ran out of energy on the game. And it ended up, when it got into injury time, you knew they weren't going to score one, you knew they weren't going to score two, and it was weirdly serene for Oxford United in this playoff final. And my goodness, it's fantastic. And Oxford United get the job done. Credit to everybody, including not lost a Des Buckingham hometown hero story. And Oxford United are going to be in the Championship. And that brings me on to my final thoughts, and just a few words on Bolton. I don't need to go over too much, because Bolton fans, you just know that your side, for whatever reason, just did not turn up on the day. Oxford played well, Oxford was solid, Oxford made it hard for you, but you just didn't turn up. You just didn't, for whatever reason, the quality just was not there in the attacking third of the pitch. So many times you just looked, particularly in the second half as well, where you were losing. There just seemed like a real lack of urgency from the Bolton players, and too many times you were just passing the ball around at the back four, and then they didn't really know what to do with it, and they ended up lumping it long, and it made it very easy for Oxford United. That was kind of a feature all the way through the game, and I know all of you guys, Ian Everett included, is just going to be scratching his head to say, what happened there? But what did happen there? In your opinion, what did go wrong? What changes could have been made? For me, I thought that you lost momentum in midfield in the second half, which was a key feature of when you beat us 5-0, the fact that Oxford just could never get out of their half. In this game, we seemed to win that midfield battle, especially when you made changes in the second half. So I definitely feel that was an area where Oxford improved, and I do think, goes without saying, Oxford was so much more solid than where we were in that 5-0 game. But I know this result is going to sting for you guys, and I know that you, in many ways, feel that you were arguably the best side in League One this season on your day. But those days, too many off days happened, and in a one-game shootout where you really couldn't have an off day, you had an off day, and it just was Oxford's day. So, no Mickey taking from me. I know you're going to have to suffer another season in League One next season, but do you think that Ian Everett deserves the right to go again? Do you feel that what changes you need to make in order to get a promotion and not have to even bother with these playoffs next time around? I know this week that one is going to sting, but you Bolton fans that have followed this channel, you've been gracious to Oxford United all the way through the season, gracious with the draw, gracious when you beat us 5-0, and hopefully you'll be gracious in defeat as well. And that brings me on to Oxford United, and Bolton as a club can talk about how they've fallen from the Premier League all the way down to League Two and are building their way back up. But that is the same for Oxford United. We've been through our financial hell and our financial struggles that took us all the way down to the National League, and we've been building our way back up. We finally got back up to Championship level, since we have not been at since 1999. It is incredible that Des Buckingham has achieved this promotion in not even his first year as Oxford United manager. The turnaround since that Bolton game was absolutely magnificent, and all the grit and determination that we've shown since that game was in full evidence today, and it was almost quite cathartic that you play the side that pummeled you 63 days ago, and come back up against them and put that sort of assured, measured performance in. And it really felt like it didn't feel like we were playing a top quality League Two side. It felt like we were playing a side in the middle of League Two, and if this was just a normal league game, it would almost be a performance and a result that was forgotten by the end of the season, because it was very comfortable from Oxford United, but they made it comfortable because the effort and the determination from all those players was first class. In possession, they were brilliant. Out of possession, they were superb. And again, the way the whole team marshalled and defended their box and protected their goal was wonderful to see. You can't speak highly enough of Josh Murphy and his effort, but I thought Rodriguez and Goodrum was superb all the way through the game. Owen Dale, again, a little bit quiet going forward, but his work rate was excellent. But really, this was the Josh Murphy show. He showed his quality when we needed him the most. He showed that he is a championship player, and he was the difference, the real difference between the two sides. This wasn't York 2010, where it was as much a relief when we got over the line as it was joyous when we got over the line. This was pure joy and pure brilliance from start to finish, and a day where Oxford fans could just enjoy it all the way through. And they don't come around very often, so for God's sake, enjoy it, Oxford fans. But the difference between Buckingham imposing his way onto this team from the Bolton defeat is quite startling, and I don't think it's lost the fact that he's getting his people in that he wanted to work with, making the difference. And one of the people another guy that I know I worked with when I was at Oxford Brookes University is Luke Taylor, who is a fantastic performance coach who Oxford United are quite simply quite lucky to have. And I no doubt that he's made a lot of difference since he's come in as well. But I'm sure there are a lot of things I am forgetting, and I know that next season already is going to be very tough in the Championship, and we probably are the bookies' favourites to come straight back down. But let's not worry about that at the moment. Let's just revel in the fact that we will be back in the Championship for the first time since 1999. From my own personal point of view of supporting an Oxford fan, when I've seen shitty away defeats at Kidderminster, shitty away defeats at Altrincham, crappy home draws to Tonbridge Bloody Angels, this feels particularly amazing. And from that, and actually I know there are going to be some Oxford fans that are a bit older than me that watch this channel as well, but from my point of view, that is finally the promotions have caught up with the relegations. That's 4 relegations and finally 4 promotions, so we're back level. It's almost like a balance in the force has finally come back, and I've got to tell you, it feels bloody sweet. And it is not lost on me as well that a year ago we nearly got relegated. Let that sink in too. But enjoy it, Oxford fans. These celebrations and these parties will go long into the night tonight, I'm sure, as well. Enjoy the open top bus parade. I won't be able to see it. I'm back in Sheffield now, but I'm already looking forward to playing both Sheffield sides next season. And let me know your thoughts on this game. Look, I met 2 fans at Wembley who did recognise me. I was a Bolton fan. I'm terrible that I've forgotten his name, but I really did appreciate the little chat we had before the game. Very civil, very nice, very gentlemanly, and obviously you thought Bolton were going to win. And then I met Kevin, who was on the same row as me at Wembley, and it was great to meet you. You've got a lot more history than me supporting Oxford United as well, but I could see how emotional you were at the end of the game and how much it meant to you too. So thank you for both of you for coming to see me, and thank you to all the people that have followed me and support me and write comments. I really do appreciate it. And you know, no one expected promotion. People expected playoffs maybe, but not a lot of people really thought we'd get promotion this season. And once again, it feels amazing. And yeah, enjoy it, Oxford fans. Enjoy the summer, and we'll go again when we have to start doing Championship reviews and reviews for the Championship season. I still can't really believe it, but enjoy it. Come on, you Yellows.